one thing that's always confused me is how do we make sure that we're becoming responsible for that, consciousness to detach from actions? Like, there has to be some kind of responsibility we take with the conscious that we're approaching things with, and the, like letting go of tasks as the I am the doer. So I'm not sure if I'm explaining this rightly, but there has to be that balance between taking radical responsibility versus not getting into the ego of being the action taker or the action doer.
Yes. Yeah. So I actually have a name for this. I've never actually taught this anywhere, so this is fun. There comes a time on your journey of awakening where you enter a certain phase where we talked a lot about this last time in our interview, getting rid of this I am the body idea.
Mm-hmm.
And talked about it a lot today too. But when you just practice being aware of, I'm not the body, I'm the witness of the body, I'm the consciousness within the body, there comes a place where it becomes real to you. Your sense of self is not attached to the body, but old conditioning patterns are still happening. You're still watching the mind want to respond in certain ways that now to you feel inauthentic. And you're like, I don't like that expression of me. I don't like how my mind shape shifts around certain people. I become a different person around that person than this one. And that's causing me suffering now. Like there's all this internal conflict because I recognize how inauthentic I'm being around Steve. But when I'm around Joe, I'm totally myself. And I love that expression. How do I become like that around Steve, right? These things become aware to you. And maybe you're more of a jerk or you're more judgmental or whatever. But so what I call it is the walking the dog phase of spiritual awakening. And the analogy is if I'm walking my dog and my dog craps on somebody's lawn, I don't go, well, I didn't crap on their lawn. Moving along. That'd be the worst dog owner ever, right? You're not the one who crapped on the lawn, but you still go get the bag and pick up the crap, right?
Yeah.
Still clean up after your dog's mess. Now, we have to do that with our own pet, right? With our own body. Our body is still hardwired and conditioned from the past to give certain responses, to be insecure, to be angry, to be judgmental. And we dissolve those things by being the witness of them without judging them. So when those actions happen, remember, actions happen, there is no individual doer thereof. The recognition you want to have is, okay, I didn't choose to do that. That was just an automatic response to stimulus, right? An event happened, the mind produced a thought, and before I had the awareness to catch it, I said the thing, and then I regretted it. So I don't want to say, oh, why did I do that? I shouldn't have said that. Now you're back in the doer role. Now you're guilt tripping yourself for that. So don't take responsibility. I think even Ramana Maharshi said, even if you murder somebody, don't take responsibility as I did that. But you still clean up the mess, right? That's what love does. You still say, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Please forgive me. But inwardly, the whole time, you're not guilt tripping yourself. You're just saying, wow, okay, the body still has some dysfunctional conditioning. It's working out. And in this moment, I am showing the body it doesn't need to have that response anymore. It doesn't need to produce those kinds of thoughts. They're not helpful. When we meet those experiences with love and forgiveness, we prove that message to the body and it begins to decondition those thoughts. So that's why it's super important not to be guilty for anything you do. You must get rid of guilt altogether if you want to step out of that person. People believe, oh, I have to guilt trip myself if I'm going to do the right thing. Like if I don't feel horrible about what I said to Steve, I'll never apologize. Totally the opposite. If you feel horrible about what you did, that's identity. And all the mind knows is attention. It doesn't know positive or negative. It just sees, oh, a lot of identity went into that comment. A lot of attention was given to it. So it must be what the person wants. It must be useful. Let's keep producing that thought. Until you forgive yourself, then the body goes, oh, that action happened, the comment was made, but there was no identification with it. So it must not be as useful anymore. Let's begin dissolving that one. So it's a bit of a paradox or a bit counterintuitive. And so I like using that walking the dog analogy to kind of explain how you navigate that.
That is so neatly tied. Honestly, like Aaron, I love how like all your different analogies are so neatly tied together and have like a very strong connection. And Yeah, one thing you said over there really stuck out to me is authenticity with, the people around us, with Joe and the other person's name you took, I forgot. But how do we, navigate through authenticity versus identity? Because it's important to stay authentic, but it's important to not slip into this is who I identify with, and if I'm not doing this, then I'm not being authentic. So authenticity versus identity, is there like a fine line between them, or how can we start to make it more spiritual? Yeah.
You ask great questions, Anushka.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, this is great. So in a sense, you could say that authenticity is your true identity. But the trick there, right, is you can't pin authenticity down. You can't define it. You can't limit it. You don't know how you're going to express yourself in any situation. Yet when you're present and empty and you have no agendas and you're just you don't need people's approval of you. You can just express freely. That's authenticity. And that is always fresh. It's always new. It's always alive. And we all know this, right? No matter what somebody's authentic expression is, even if they're a bit rough around the edges or something, if we can tell someone's being authentic, we like them, right? We love authenticity. What we hate is people being fake, putting on a mask, trying to be somebody they're not. You could meet someone you've never met in your life, right? You have no idea what their real personality is, but if they're being fake to you and putting on a mask, you know right away. You're like, hey, that's not you. Why are you playing that character to try and impress me? Like, you don't even know them, right? But something in you intuitively knows that that person's not being authentic. So authenticity in that sense really is our true identity, but authenticity is nameless, it's definitionless, it can't be pinned down or limited. It flows freely in the moment, it responds to the moment in a beautiful, fresh, new way every time. So to me, the absence of identity is authenticity, but the paradox is that actually kind of is your real identity.
You give great answers, Aaron. Like, if my questions are great, you just come up with the answers right away. I love it. um, yeah. With the journey you've been through all these years, what advice or what obstacles would you save the younger selves from? Like some kind of like things that you would say could prevent them from going astray on their journey to self-discovery.
I would probably go to authenticity. I would say
Mm,
you have to practice not caring what people think about you. Nothing will destroy your life faster than that will, needing the approval of others. And I think the way that the place that that starts, the quickest way to become authentic and to stop caring what people think is to realize just how messed up everybody is, in a sense. Like, you don't really want their approval because their approval is based on their own biases and judgments and what they need to be happy. Like, people can only project their own crap onto you. And so it's like, if somebody doesn't like me or disapproves of something I do or say, they're actually only disapproving or attacking their ideas about me, not the real me. Nobody can attack the real me, what I really am. How can you attack the I am? Like, everyone is I am, and everyone knows
yeah.
their I am. That is impenetrable, invincible. So you're always untouchable, and you have to know that. As soon as you know that, then the opinions of others don't mean anything outside of love. Like, love is the only thing that begins to carry meaning to you. Kindness, compassion, forgiveness, grace. When people are behaving out of that energy, there's this recognition of like, oh, you found that place in you too. You've realized that life is better being loving and kind than judgmental and controlling. And so there's that amazing heart-to-heart connection you have with people. And that's just the most beautiful thing in the world. And if somebody isn't there and they can't give you that genuine heart connection, then you don't mind because they're not there yet. They haven't awakened to that yet. So you don't hold that against them. You're like, oh yeah, you're a hurting person. I understand. You have to be rude to me if you have pain in your heart. Like, all pain has to be offloaded. So your perception becomes so clear and so forgiving and loving when you become loving inwardly. There's a quote I love from ACIM that says, "Be kind always, for everyone is fighting a difficult battle. So instead of seeing a person who's, why did they say that about me? They're so mean to me. Don't they know how that hurt my feelings? And you're in that victim-y role. Instead of seeing that, you begin to see, oh, that person must be fighting a tough battle. If they're dishing out pain to others, they must be carrying a lot of it. So let me not add to their burden. Let me just forgive them. Let me be compassionate.